You've been warned. These destinations are every traveler's nightmare.
If you think that American passports can get you anywhere, think again. Hello everyone and welcome to FinnaTravel. Today we're going to go over the top 10 countries where Americans are not welcome. Be sure to stick around to the end because our number one destination will land you in some serious trouble. Before we jump in, be sure to subscribe and click the notification bell so you don't miss any of our future videos. And check the description below for links that can help you book your next trip. Just maybe not one of these places. Number 10. Russia. Though the Cold War has long ended and governments have changed hands, the animosity between America and Russia remains. And Russia's recent invasion of Ukraine hasn't made visiting any easier for Americans. So if you are an American traveling to Russia, maybe find another frozen land to go ice fishing. Just getting a visa might feel like you're solving a Rubik's Cube, and being scrutinized to enter a country is no fun. But once you're in, Russia is full of history, culture, and jaw-dropping landscapes. From the imposing domes of St. Basil's Cathedral to the grandeur of Moscow's Red Square, Russia is like a vibrant canvas waiting for your adventurous spirit. Known for its vast expanse, it might feel like you're in a whole other world. The land of the Tsars is truly fascinating. You'll be rewarded with awe-inspiring sights like the grandeur of the Heritage Museum in St. Petersburg, an imperial palace that now holds priceless art. For a journey that covers 2 continents, hop on the legendary Trans-Siberian Railway, a bucket list adventure that takes you from Europe to Asia, showcasing the country's limitless treasures. Just always keep in mind that the locals might send you a few strange looks. Should you visit, just lay low while you enjoy the scenery. Number 9. China. Talk about a language barrier and cultural differences, not to mention government policies and social norms that often conflict with the free world. China is impressive, and while visiting isn't forbidden, it's advised against due to the arbitrary enforcement of laws, including wrongful detentions of American citizens. Should you dare to visit, you'll find a land with a history dating back thousands of years. Don't forget the Forbidden City in Beijing, where great emperors once roamed, a magnificent complex that served as the imperial palace for nearly 500 years. A visit here is like stepping into the heart of Chinese history, just like the awe-inspiring Terracotta Army in Xi'an, an archaeological wonder that guards the tomb of China's first emperor. And for a dose of natural beauty, a serene cruise along the picturesque Li River will leave you in awe of the breathtaking karst landscape that inspired countless Chinese paintings, where karst mountains rise dramatically from the water, creating landscapes that seem straight out of a dream. Oh, and don't forget to snap a selfie of eating real Chinese food to brag about to your friends back home. Number 8. Iran. Did you know that Iran used to be welcoming of Americans? Since the Iranian Revolution in 1979, the country turned a corner and became increasingly hostile towards the United States. Iran recently imposed a ban on all American visits without an approved guide. Often overlooked and avoided by travelers, Iran is a hidden treasure in the Middle East. For Americans, visa and travel advisories may create some roadblocks, but there is charm, rich culture, and unique cuisine in this forbidden land. Once inside, take time to explore the ancient city of Persepolis, a UNESCO World Heritage Site and a testament to the grandeur of the ancient Persian Empire. Here, you'll witness the empire's impressive ruins and intricate carvings built and ruled by Darius I and Xerxes until captured by Alexander the Great. When it comes to cuisine, don't miss out on mouth-watering kebabs and aromatic saffron-infused dishes that will tantalize your taste buds. For the culturally curious, the Nasir al-Mulk Mosque in Shiraz, known as the Pink Mosque, offers a stunning display of stained glass windows that create a kaleidoscope of colors when sunlight pours in. Number 7. Cuba. Sound familiar? This island nation has a complicated relationship with the United States, but has recently become more accessible to American travelers. Old Havana, a UNESCO World Heritage Site, is a living museum of colorful buildings, cobbled streets, and historic squares that transport you to a bygone era. You can't help but feel like you're walking through the pages of a Hemingway novel as you sip on a mojito in a local tavern. If you're a fan of vintage cars, Cuba is a paradise. You'll see classic Chevys and Fords sports cruising the streets, a testament to the country's enduring love affair with these automotive relics. The lively music scene adds to the unique charm, with salsa and son cubano melodies spilling out of every corner. Number 6. Venezuela. Located on the northern coast of South America, Venezuela boasts vast natural resources, stunning natural beauty, and passionate people. Political instability, limitation of civil liberties, and safety concerns make this country dangerous for travelers from the United States to venture to. In fact, Americans are often targets of crime. For those who do make it to Venezuela and stay safe, there are some picturesque places worth seeing. Angel Falls, the world's highest uninterrupted waterfall, is a wonder of nature that will leave you speechless. Located in Canaima National Park, this natural wonder drops over 3,200 feet, creating a mesmerizing spectacle. For beach lovers and water sports enthusiasts, the Los Roques archipelago offers pristine beaches, crystal clear waters, and abundant marine life. It's a paradise that's relatively untouched by mass tourism, making it a haven for relaxation and adventure. Number 5. Saudi Arabia.
Habibi, come to Saudi.
A kingdom of rich traditions and strict Sharia laws, and you cannot openly roam around on an American passport. Laws on public conduct, dress codes, and complete bans on alcohol and drugs. The laws have severe punishments by Western standards. That said, many aspects of Saudi Arabia can be truly fascinating. Al Ula, home to the ancient Nabatean city of Madain Saleh, offers an archaeological adventure similar to Petra in Jordan. It's a place where lowering rock formations and intricate tombs whisper stories of ancient civilizations. Explore the Red Sea coastline for a mix of history and nature. Underwater, you'll discover vibrant coral reefs teeming with marine life, making Saudi Arabia an emerging diving destination. Until recently, the government wouldn't even issue tourist visas, but has just slowly started opening its gates to the Western world. As with most of these destinations, understanding and respecting local norms is key to a positive experience. Number 4. Yemen. With ongoing conflicts, the presence of extremist groups like Al-Qaeda, and humanitarian crises, Yemen is often not welcoming to the Americans. The U.S. Department of State advises against travel due to terrorism, kidnapping, and armed conflict. As a result, Yemen is often overlooked as a travel destination, though it's rich with history and stunning landscapes. If you are lucky enough to visit, Yemen offers a wealth of extraordinary experiences. The ancient city of Sana'a is a living museum of traditional architecture. As you walk through its streets, you'll be transported to a bygone era where multi-story mud brick buildings adorn the landscape. Yemen is a treasure trove of natural beauty. Socotra Island boasts unique flora like the dragon's blood tree. It's the closest thing to an alien planet with the peculiar shaped trees and fauna that'll have you wondering where you are. Number 3. Sudan. As one of the least developed countries in the world, Sudan is often violent and hostile due to poverty and military conflicts. Although it is a nation with a rich history and diverse landscape, it's often full of civil unrest. While Sudan isn't entirely off limits to Americans, the United States advises against its citizens traveling here. Visiting Sudan is a decision one should not take lightly and is best approached with caution. Conflicts aside, the ancient pyramids of Meroe, over 200 in total, are a treasure trove of history and culture. These Nubian structures are a witness to a once mighty civilization. The vivid colors of the Nubian villages along the Nile create a striking contrast to the desert landscapes and offer the best glimpse of the country's history. Number 2. Afghanistan. Talk about a country that has faced decades of conflict and instability. Traveling here is highly discouraged due to ongoing security concerns, and it's a destination where you must prioritize safety above all else. The United States strictly advises that its citizens do not travel to Afghanistan due to armed conflict, crime, and kidnapping, especially of Westerners. If you do dare to visit, you'll find the archaeological treasures of Bamyan a sight to see. The Bandi Amir National Park, a collection of stunning blue lakes surrounded by rugged mountains, offers an oasis of tranquility amid the turmoil. But maybe you should just scratch this one off your list. Before we continue, be sure to subscribe to our channel and click the bell to be notified about our latest videos. Number 1.
Hello, North Korea!
It's a place shrouded in mystery and strict regulations. A real-life mission impossible. Traveling to North Korea for Americans poses significant risks due to the political and legal differences, as well as heightened tension between the two countries. The United States has consistently issued a do not travel advisory for North Korea, citing the risk of arrest and long-term detention for actions that would not be considered crimes in the United States. In a constant state of war, this closed society showcases its grand military parades in Pyongyang, which are like scenes from a Bond movie. A visit to the heavily fortified border separating North and South Korea, known as the Demilitarized Zone, or DMZ, is the epicenter of one of the world's most intense standoffs. If you ever visit this bizarre and forbidden land, follow all the rules and guidelines given no matter how restrictive they are. Even taking a simple photo in a public place or talking to a local can have you arrested. Would you dare to travel to any of these countries? Let us know in the comments below.
I recently talked about the most dangerous cities in the United States, and while they are pretty scary places, they pale in comparison to some of the places around the world, like Venezuela, which is known for having the highest crime rate in the world. But what if it's not just crime? What if the government itself was just as unstable as some of these gangs and rebel groups running around trying to rule their countries? Welcome back to FinnaTravel. Today we're going to go over the most dangerous countries in the world, especially for US citizens, or pretty much any Westerner or person living in a peaceful country where people live in decency with each other and are for the most part civil. The Department of State has this pretty cool website where you can check out the travel advisories for each country with levels 1 to 4, denoting relatively how safe it is to travel there. Level 1 being the safest, where you just use your common sense and watch out for purse thieves and pickpockets, and Level 4 being the most dangerous with a strict do not travel warning. There are currently 19 countries listed at Level 4, and we'll be going over the worst of these in addition to Israel. Although Israel itself isn't a Level 4, Gaza is most definitely listed as do not travel, so we'll include it on our list because of the recent conflicts that you have obviously heard about by now. Unless you're extremely sheltered or maybe just came out of a coma. If so, welcome back. I'm glad you're still here and joining us to find out why these countries are so treacherous. Number 10. Syria. There was probably never a time in all of history when the land of Syria wasn't in some sort of conflict. It was once home to a major trading hub along the Silk Road. You remember that ancient network of trade routes that we all kind of forgot about from high school history. Anyway, Syria has been in wars for centuries, and still is today, where they remain in a vicious civil war since 2011 that has claimed over 300,000 civilian lives. The Syrian government and military have been accused of widespread atrocities, including chemical weapons use on their own people. Aerial bombing of civilian areas, kidnapping, and terrorism remain constant threats, but not just to Syrian civilians. U.S. citizens are targets of abduction or unjust detention by the Syrian government, as well as targets by competing factions. Here's what the Department of State says on their website about Syria. Our ability to provide consular assistance to individuals who are injured or kidnapped, or to the families of individuals who die in the conflict, is extremely limited. It's true that the humanitarian crisis in Syria is one of the worst in recent history. Yes, even more than Gaza right now, which we'll talk about in a moment. And while there are some of you that may want to head over there to lend a hand, it's probably not the best decision, as you'll undoubtedly become just another statistic. Number 9. South Sudan. If you haven't been following world affairs in recent years, or if you graduated from high school or college more than 10 years ago, you may not have even known that South Sudan was a country. South Sudan was born out of one of the longest conflicts in Sudan since the 1950s, when the people of the region overwhelmingly voted to secede from Sudan in 2011. Fun fact, it's actually the youngest country in the world. But ever since its independence, it's been completely unstable, mired in its own brutal civil war and widespread atrocities being committed by all sides. I wonder now if we're going to have a South Sudan. Famine, disease, and the collapse of public services have only served to compound the crisis. Armed groups target civilians, foreign workers, and aid workers with impunity. Yeah, that includes Americans. There's a lot of oil, natural resources, and fertile land that only seem to contribute to the never-ending conflicts. The Department of State puts it this way. Armed conflict is ongoing and includes fighting between various political and ethnic groups. Weapons are readily available to the population. In addition, cattle raids occur throughout the country and often lead to violence. So, add cow theft at gunpoint to your list of reasons not to visit South Sudan. Number 8. Yemen. Since 2014, Yemen has been embroiled in a devastating civil war between the internationally recognized government, supported by a Saudi-led coalition, and Iran-backed Houthi rebels, who, by the way, are also attacking Israel in the Gaza war. both sides vying for control of the country and committing vicious war crimes and blowing up basic infrastructure like housing, power, water, and medical facilities and schools. With so many brazen attacks on civilians, it makes any humanitarian aid virtually impossible. Al-Qaeda and ISIS affiliates remain active, regularly attacking civilians. And get this, there are landmines throughout Yemen. So even if somehow you were able to make it there and avoid all direct conflict with these insurgent groups, you might unknowingly run over a landmine on your way back to the airport. And if you think your dual citizenship will get you in and out of there without problems, you might want to hear this. The Department of State says, there is a very high risk of kidnapping and detention of U.S. citizens in Yemen, particularly dual U.S. Yemeni citizens. Young people are also at risk of kidnapping for purposes of forced marriage. I bet that wasn't on your travel plans. Number 7. Venezuela. Just like the previous 3 countries, Venezuela has its fair share of political and social unrest. But on top of all that, they also have the highest crime rate in the entire world. As a major hub for illicit drugs, and a country whose law enforcement is known to be as effective as our politicians, violent crimes in Venezuela such as homicide, armed robbery, kidnapping, and carjacking are as common as a bird targeting your windshield.
Oh, bird pooped on your shoulder. No, wait. Pooped on your head, then dripped onto your shoulder.
And if you're thinking, I'll be fine because I'm definitely not traveling to Venezuela, you may want to take a look around you. Not only have Venezuelans been fleeing the country in the millions due to the political and social unrest, many Venezuelan gang members have been entering the United States and coming into your neighborhood in the last few years. Ever since Biden took office and appointed Alejandro Mayorkas as Secretary of Homeland Security, we've had over 500,000 illegal immigrants from Venezuela enter the country, second only to Mexico. You remember Laken Riley? She was a young college student with a bright future that was brutally murdered right here in the United States by a violent Venezuelan illegal immigrant who has ties to a gang from his homeland. So while Venezuela is clearly an unsafe country to visit, how soon will it be until Canada advises its citizens not to travel to the United States? Number 6. Burkina Faso. Now, before you think I'm making up country names just to fill up my list, I promise this place is real. It's a landlocked country in West Africa, which unfortunately has one of the highest poverty rates in the world. Burkina Faso.
That's kind of fun to say.
The name means land of honest men. More like honestly terrifying men. Burkina Faso is one of the worst places on our list to visit because it holds the highest ranking on the global terrorism list. Yes, even above Israel, with the recent Hamas incident killing over 1,200 lives in early 2024. In 2023, Burkina Faso had 258 incidents of terrorism, including over 1,900 fatalities. Insurgent groups have staged frequent attacks on civilians, security forces, and Westerners. They don't want you coming there any more than they love their neighboring countries. They operate with increasing impunity in the north and east near its borders with Mali and Niger. With the constant terrorist attacks, no place is safe in Burkina Faso, and the Department of State warns that terrorists may conduct attacks anywhere with little or no warning. Targets could include hotels, restaurants, police stations, customs offices, areas at or near mining sites, places of worship, military posts, and schools. Might as well live in Japan with all its earthquakes. At least you'll know you're not being targeted. Number 5. Ukraine. Now, just because you may feel justified in going to Ukraine to help its citizens who are being invaded and bombarded by Russia doesn't mean it's a good idea. Russia's full-scale invasion of Ukraine in 2022 has led to Europe's largest land war since World War II. With attacks happening all over the country, there have been reports of Russian forces targeting U.S. citizens for arrest and detainment in order to interrogate them and harass them because of their nationality. They have been accused of widespread atrocities against civilians that are too awful to even name, but you can go look them up if you're so inclined to. Even though the government here isn't likely to kidnap you or wrongfully detain you, they have more important things to do than processing your visa. So, unless you want to be remembered as a casualty of the war or become a Russian POW like your grandpa was in World War II, I'd stay far away from the Ukraine and just keep sending blankets instead. Number 4. Iran. You know, I heard that Iran has no Walmarts, only Targets.
That's a joke, isn't it?
In fact, I might even get arrested for saying something like that in Iran. Their human rights record is among the worst in the world, with widespread censorship and political repression. The country's support for extremist groups and its pursuit of nuclear weapons has also raised serious concerns in the international community, not to mention their recent attack on Israel in retaliation for losing 2 generals, one of whom was on Hezbollah's Shura Council. Now, I know Iran has some pretty incredible places, and visiting them may seem tempting, And some people even travel here for surrogacy tourism. Yeah, I'm not even kidding. Apparently that's a thing now, where individuals in countries like America that can't have kids go to foreign countries to hire a surrogate because apparently it's cheaper. Well, it's enough that the Department of State had to warn about that. Companies offering surrogacy services in Iran are misrepresenting the security situation in Iran and the risks of the unregulated surrogacy tourism industry. While I sympathize with those unable to have children, as this affected my wife and I for a number of years, there's a whole world out there of safer countries. There's only one right answer for this question. What did you do when a private Iranian company offered you surrogacy services? Iran. Number 3. Haiti. Is it no surprise that everyone wants their slice of the Caribbean? It's gorgeous down in Haiti and truly a paradise for many people, but this nation has been plagued by political instability, poverty, and natural disasters since, well, forever. Kidnapping for ransom is rampant in Port-au-Prince and outlying areas, with victims regularly including U.S. citizens. Kidnappers are very sophisticated and have been known to plan attacks on entire convoys. Many American citizens have been held in ransom, and families have paid thousands of dollars for their release. Aside from far too many dictatorships, coups, and gang violence, just like in Venezuela, the amount of earthquakes and hurricanes Haiti sees is just unfair. Constantly beat on all sides, Haitians are poor and often surviving day to day, or more like storm to storm. Take it from me, Haiti is not a good place to go visit right now. Here's the official word from our government. Protests, demonstrations, tire burning, and roadblocks are frequent, unpredictable, and can turn violent. The U.S. government is extremely limited in its ability to provide emergency services to U.S. citizens in Haiti. If you must visit the Caribbean, try Turks and Caicos or the British Virgin Islands. Number 2. Afghanistan. If you remember correctly, the terrorist organization Al-Qaeda that thrived under the Taliban government was responsible for the attack on the World Trade Center and the Pentagon in 2001. And the United States assisted in keeping that terrorist organization at bay for 20 years. But not that long ago, we pulled our troops out without leaving a residual force, and guess what? The Taliban is now in control of the country again. Ever since they reclaimed power back in 2021, Afghanistan has faced a spiral of economic collapse, food insecurity, and human rights abuses. Terrorist groups continue to regularly attack civilians. The Taliban has imposed severe restrictions on women's rights and civil liberties, with U.S. citizens facing the highest risks of kidnapping, violence, and unjust detention. Even aid and humanitarian workers are under attack.
If they want to be upset at someone, they should actually just be upset at the American government, who spent years weakening Afghanistan for them and then just left them with hundreds of weapons and hundreds of tanks so that they could take over. So kind of us. Really just blame us for all of your struggles.
Here's what our government recommends. U.S. citizens should not travel to Afghanistan for any reason. If you choose to disregard the travel advisory, maybe you're a missionary and feel called to go. There's a list of helpful tips on the Department of State's website for you to follow. Just make sure it's not for something trivial like picking up the world's finest saffron or visiting the Band-e-Amir National Park. Number 1. Russia. Well, it doesn't take a college degree to know why you shouldn't visit Russia. Unless you've been living under a rock or weren't paying attention to the earlier part of the video when I talked about Ukraine, you know that Russia declared war and launched an unprovoked full-scale invasion of Ukraine back in 2022. Remember, even if we're not technically at war with Russia, they are in a state of war and they see any alliance with Ukraine as hostile. As an American citizen traveling to Russia, you're opening yourself up to detention, interrogation, and harassment at the very least by Russian security officials. Even if you're a dual national, they may deny your access to U.S. consular services and prevent your departure from the country. In short, they are at war and you are the enemy. As a result, there are many unforeseen and unpredictable consequences of traveling to Russia. Not to mention the fact that your credit and debit cards no longer work there due to sanctions on Russian banks. Since their rapid invasion back in 2022, they've even lost a lot of ground, so they may even be grumpier than usual with you visiting their land. If you really want to visit the Red Square, try again when the war is over. You'll have a much better visit. As I mentioned at the beginning, Israel is classified differently than the rest of these locations. It has a level of other, meaning you should reconsider travel to the nation as a whole, but do not travel to Gaza. On October 7, 2023, Hamas crossed over their Palestinian border into Israel and slaughtered 1,200 innocent people and took 242 prisoners hostage in one of the most brazen and deadly terrorist attacks in recent history. I lived in Israel for a number of years, including during the entire Gulf War. While I was a bit on edge, I never felt truly terrified or feared for my life because I live near Jerusalem, where the Dome of the Rock is. And that's a sacred site for the Muslims. So no one really believes Saddam Hussein would attack Jerusalem. If I were living in Israel now, I'd probably feel a little bit more unsafe than I did back then, just because of how unstable everything is and how close the enemy is. Until Hamas is completely rooted out of Gaza and the people can begin to heal from the Islamic terrorists that continue to use them as human shields, I don't see terrorist attacks stopping anywhere in Israel anytime soon. So I would follow the Department of State's advice on this one. Terrorists and violent extremists may attack with little or no warning, targeting tourist locations, transportation hubs, markets, shopping malls, and local government facilities. If you had to travel to any one of these countries for some reason, which one would you pick and why? Let me know in the comments. I hope you learned something today, or at least entertained a little. If you enjoyed this video even half as much as I did researching, writing, recording, and editing it, be sure to share it with a friend, and thanks for watching. There are some pretty rude people in the world, but some countries seem to have a higher concentration of them, especially towards tourists. What's up everyone? Welcome back to FinnaTravel. The other day I was scrolling through Reddit, and I came across a few threads of travelers sharing their experiences, and it got me thinking. So I did some research and compiled data from several polls ranking the top 10 countries with the rudest people. Here's what I found. Number 10, Poland. Well, this one just seems to make sense. Some people even thought it should be much higher on the list. In 1939, Germany and the Soviets invaded Poland from both sides, within 16 days of each other, triggering World War II. This led to a devastating occupation for years and communist rule after the war. The Poles were simply wrecked at every level. Although the war has been over for decades, there's bound to be some mistrust of foreigners. It's sadly the reason many go to Poland today to visit Auschwitz-Birkenau, a World War II museum and former Nazi concentration camp. Poland sees about 20 million visitors every year, so there's a lot of rubbing shoulders. Just remember that Poles tend to be direct when communicating, so it's possible that they may appear rude when they're just trying to be clear. And it's not all dark and grim. There are some pretty cool places to see, like the Tatra Mountains and the Baltic coast. Do your part to stay positive and learn to say thank you in Polish. Dziękuję. Number 9, Egypt. Of course, the pyramids of Giza and the world's longest river, the Nile, are undoubtedly the top attractions in Egypt. Roughly 15 million people visit Egypt each year, but the government is trying to attract 30 million people by 2028. It's safe to say that the authorities and businesses love all the attention, but the locals that don't benefit from all those tourists clearly don't share their affection. Many visitors reported being pressured into buying things, price gouging, and just being yelled at for no apparent reason. But that ain't the half of it. If you're a woman, you just might be harassed and picked on even more, especially if you stand out as a tourist. Although we did see reports of more friendly encounters the further you venture out from the big cities like Cairo. Egyptians love their strong cardamom-infused coffee, so if you're offered some, show some respect and learn to say thank you in Arabic. Shukran. Number 8, Italy. Ah, the home of the best food in the world. Come on, think about it. Pizza, ice cream, or gelato if you're being particular. Spaghetti, Tuscany wines. Maybe it's because I'm part Italian or pasta is my kryptonite. But for many, this is comfort food. But like any culture, they can be rude, especially if 75 million tourists are visiting each year. You may not even notice how much unless you understand all their hand signs. You see, when Italians talk, their hands are quite animated, and several of those expressions are kinda rude. The most common hand gesture that means, "What are you talking about?" is usually not delivered in the kindest way. Then there's others that mean, "Get away," "What do I care?" and "I can't stand you," although some may be often used in jest. Now, I've been to Italy myself and have had some really great experiences. So just because the Italians have a reputation for being rude, and many people share that sentiment on their travels, don't let that define your trip. Just be kind when you interact with the locals, and be sure to say grazie, and you just might knock this country out of the top 10 with each smile. Number 7, Spain. As the second most visited country in the world, welcoming at its peak almost 84 million people in 2019, there's an endless amount of fun to be had and food to eat. In Madrid, be sure to visit the oldest restaurant in the world, Sobrino de Botín, established in 1725. With that insane volume of people passing through, you can expect some unpleasantries. From signs in windows telling foreigners to go home, to shouts and insults of stranger and calling people stupid, many have reported some very unpleasant visits. What appears to be a common theme is that the level of rudeness tends to go up the closer you are to the big cities like Madrid. Learning about their culture can help reduce your frustrating encounters. So don't go making a ton of noise or knocking on a shop's closed door during a siesta, but definitely say gracias to show how thankful you are. Number 6, the United States. Wait, how did we get on this list?
There must be some mistake.
Okay, I guess it's partly true. Granted, I'm not a tourist from another country coming to visit the United States, and while most of the tourist areas are genuinely friendly and welcoming of tourists, there are definitely some hostile areas. And a recent report by Passport Photo Online states almost 50% of American tourists actually ended up traveling within the states due to inflation and higher travel costs in recent years. Before the pandemic, the United States welcomed 75 million tourists on average each year. Although that number is slowly rising, this country is huge, so there's a lot to explore and dozens of mini cultures within the land of the free and the home of the brave. Most of the complaints seem to be concentrated in California, New York, and other big cities.
I'm sensing a theme.
Number 5, China. China has a reputation for not being all that welcoming to Americans in the first place, as we explained in this video. In general, the Chinese people are respected, caring, and hospitable. But the government is known to enforce some arbitrary laws and wrongfully detain American citizens. It's pretty obvious that Chinese citizens are under a lot of pressure to comply with their communist government and could be very suspicious of foreigners. So what may seem rude might just be self-preservation from their own tyrannical leaders. Although some of the travelers from our research complained of loud yelling, spitting on the ground, and cutting in line,
Who does that?
the locals do appreciate a small bow and handshakes, but avoid direct eye contact. Apparently, that's a big no-no. China sees about 57 million tourists a year. I know I personally would love to see the Great Wall of China someday and eat authentic Chinese food. Start practicing with chopsticks if you want to make a good impression, and learn to say xie xie to show your gratitude. Number 4, the United Kingdom. Now this one surprised me a bit because from my experience, the majority of people I know from the UK are kind and polite. So this might just come down to cultural differences. They still have a castle with an acting king or queen and some very strict etiquette and societal norms where everything needs to be proper and in order. One common mistake travelers make is assuming that because both countries speak the same language, their cultures should be similar, right?
No.
For example, Americans are a little more direct than British in conversations with new acquaintances, asking things like, "What do you do?" or "Where do you live?" Questions that really only close friends would discuss in their culture, not strangers. Brits are also quite sarcastic, and deadpan humor is pretty common, leading to some awkward silences and explanations that they were only joking.
How rude.
If you're one of the 31 million visitors to the United Kingdom this year, be sure to say thank you more often than you would at home and pinkies up when you drink your tea. Number 3, Germany. If you love the motherland and your country has a history for starting up not one, but 2 world wars because, and I'm not making this up, you think you're better than the rest of the world, you're likely to be rude to foreigners. Now, I'm sure not all Germans think that about the 38 million or so tourists that visit their country every year, but their history of anti-Semitism does play a major role in shaping their culture. True, it's been many years since the end of World War II, and maybe some aren't holding on to grudges, but it's pretty common knowledge that Germans in public are quite, abrasive.
These Germans are bothering.
Even physically pushing people out of their way or just straight up ignoring you. It's a shame though, because, we just want people to be nice to us, right? I only passed through Germany once on my travels, but if I get to stay in Germany someday, I'm definitely checking out some of their castles and getting a warm apple strudel. Next time you visit and receive help, look people in the eye, give them a firm handshake, and say, Danke. Number 2, Russia. Doesn't the word Russian mean rude in English? Okay, I'm just kidding. Well, with all those stoic expressions, one could easily assume that correlation. The face says it all. I know some who would say it comes down to culture, and there's an element of truth to that. But would it really hurt you to smile? Even just a little? Russians are known to carry almost no emotion in their facial expressions, and for many that just seems rude. And if you smile at them, they think you're the one being rude. This looks like a vicious cycle to me. But it's more than just looks, according to some travelers. I sure wouldn't want to be stuck on the Trans-Siberian Railway, the longest railway in the world, with a crowd of people that wouldn't even give you a friendly smile. That's a long, hard, miserable time for a lot of people used to joyful faces.
Russians.
About 25 million people visit Russia each year to see the Kremlin, the Red Square, and the famous cathedrals, along with other fascinating sights. But with the current war in Ukraine, it's not a country we'd recommend visiting right now. If you do go someday or have a Russian-speaking friend, practice saying spasiba to show gratitude.
You may have noticed with each location, I've been teaching you how to say thank you in the native language of each country. Now, I know this list is subjective, and you're bound to meet many kind and generous people as well as rude ones in these countries, but I believe showing kindness goes a long way. There's a proverb in the Bible, Proverbs 15:1, that says a soft answer turns away wrath, but a harsh word stirs up anger. So our goal with this list is not just to inform you of where you might feel provoked, but what you could do to show gratitude toward others and possibly turn some hostile situations around. Capiche? Number 1, France. Wait a minute, isn't Paris in France and Paris is the city of love? Yeah, that's what I thought too. Not only is France the number 1 spot on every list that we researched, the comments go on and on about how rude the French are that you can't help but grab a bucket of popcorn and just start chuckling. Maybe it's actually the city of Karens. Close to 84 million people venture to France each year to visit the Eiffel Tower's grandeur and explore the treasures of the Louvre. When I was in high school, I took French because I thought I would love to make that trek someday. And I still hope to. Most of the complaints of the locals being rude come from folks that try to order food in English instead of French.
You're not speaking French!
And it's not because they don't speak English. They want you to know that you're in their country. So next time you go to order a ratatouille or coq au vin, learn to practice your French and say merci when it arrives. I hope you enjoyed today's video.
Better pack your Speedos, because that's the only way to legally swim in France. Hello everyone, and welcome to FinnaTravel. Today we're going to prepare you for your next trip with our pick of the top 10 countries with weird laws. Be sure to subscribe and click the notification bell if you don't want to miss any of our upcoming videos, and check the description below for links to book your next trip. Number 10. Building sandcastles is illegal in Spain. We've covered Spain before as one of the best places to visit for a vacation, and we still stand by that. Spain has no shortage of incredible tourist attractions, such as the mighty Sagrada Familia Palace in Barcelona, the #1 tourist attraction in the country. Seriously, this place looks like a fantasy location straight out of a video game. Be warned though, when visiting beaches in certain areas of Spain, we advise you to avoid any temptations of building a sandcastle, as it's illegal to do so. Building any sand structure in Levante Beach, for example, can land you a fine of up to 150 euros. So if you're eager to make that epic sandcastle for your TikTok video, maybe don't do it in Spain. Number 9. Chewing gum is illegal in Singapore. Despite its diminutive size, measuring in at just about half the size of London, Singapore is a tourism marvel. It crams a truly mind-bending amount of places to visit and things to see in its humble territory, not the least of which is the architectural marvel, the Marina Bay Sands. The largest cantilevered platform in the world, it packs a casino, shopping malls, restaurants, and many other things within its walls, making it a prime destination for any trip to Singapore. But before you buy your ticket, be sure you don't have any chewing gum. In 1992, Singapore outlawed all chewing gum due to rampant issues of people not properly disposing of their used gum, with the exception of nicotine and therapeutic gums. So yeah, don't be blowing any bubbles in Singapore, or you might get fined or jail time. Number 8. Men with mustaches cannot kiss a woman in Nevada. Viva Las Vegas! If you know anything about Nevada, Vegas surely popped into your mind. The gambling capital of the United States, Nevada's Las Vegas is sometimes referred to as the most entertainment-filled 2.5 miles in the world. At night, the city is like a kaleidoscope of neon lights designed to attract people from around the world. Not into gambling and nightlife? Fear not. Nevada has plenty to do for the less city-dwelling folk, such as the sparkling blue Lake Tahoe in the Sierra Nevada mountains and the Rhyolite Ghost Town, which gives a glimpse into the era of gold mining and has even been used as a backdrop for many movies, such as The Island starring Ewan McGregor and Scarlett Johansson. But if you're a man who likes to keep a well-groomed mustache, you might be disappointed to find out that the town of Eureka, Nevada has outlawed men kissing women if they're sporting facial hair. This law dates back to the 1800s, and while it's hardly, if ever, enforced, it has still survived to this day. Talk about antiquated. Number 7. Cell phone cameras must be audible when taking pictures in South Korea. Since the end of the Korean War in the 1950s, South Korea has flourished into a fantastic getaway location for any traveler. Far from its bleak and restrictive northern counterpart, South Korea features a bucket load of vibrant places to visit. From the stunning capital of Seoul, the country's economic and tourism hub, to the cultural marvels of Busan, where there is something for everyone in this majestic land. And who can forget that infamous song?
Oppan Gangnam Style. Gangnam Style.
Just make sure that when you're taking pictures, you've got your shutter sound on. In 2004, South Korea outlawed taking photos without an audible camera sound as a way to discourage unwanted photography. In particular, the government was trying to put an end to the practice of upskirting. Interestingly enough, most South Koreans think people should be allowed the freedom to choose if they want the noise on or not. But for better or for worse, this law remains on the books. So make sure you have that shutter sound on when you're taking your dazzling vacation photos. Number 6. Climbing trees is illegal in Canada. Oh, Canada, the maple syrup capital of the world. But besides making your pancakes taste better, Canada offers some incredible tourist attractions for those looking to tap into their inner nature lover. From the roaring waters of the Niagara Falls to the vividly beautiful hiking trails of Vancouver Island and Newfoundland's Gros Morne National Park, a UNESCO World Heritage Site, Canada is a paradise for those looking to disconnect from the modern world and seek refuge in the arms of nature. But don't put climbing trees on your list of nature activities if you visit Oshawa in Ontario, as doing so could get you in trouble. Their reasoning? This law was put in place to prevent unable citizens from trying to act like Spider-Man. Okay, while we understand the safety reasons for why this might pass,
I think I broke my ribs.
Are they hiding something? Maybe Spider-Man is real! Number 5. Swearing is prohibited in the United Arab Emirates. When it comes to the Middle East, not everyone conjures the most positive images, especially with recent events. But the United Arab Emirates stands as a beacon of hope for a better future and a truly majestic vacation destination. It's also the home of Dubai, one of the fastest growing cities in the world. This golden standard of tourism features countless attractions such as Ferrari World, where you can experience luxury without the price tag, and the Capitol Gate, which to this day is still the world record holder of the furthest leaning building. But within all of that ostentatious opulence lie strict rules on conduct, including an outright ban on swearing. If you're caught cursing in public, especially the F-bomb, you could face jail time or deportation. So if you tend to curse like a sailor, you might want to tone it down a bit while in public so you don't find yourself behind bars. Number 4. Married women may only have one glass of wine in Bolivia. Bolivia is a treasure for those who want to take a trip that will make them feel like an archaeologist. The country is littered with ancient ruins, giving a glimpse into a world long forgotten, such as the ruins of Tiwanaku, an important precursor to the ancient Inca Empire. Bolivia is also home to the famous salt flats of Salar de Uyuni, which we covered in a previous video as one of the most mind-bending places to take a photograph. However, if you're a married woman, there are some bizarre laws in Bolivia, most notably one that only allows one glass of wine when dining at a restaurant or bar. Bolivians were of the impression that women would become too flirtatious when inebriated, and while it is true that people may act differently when drunk, this law is definitely one of the more sexist on the list. Who says men don't become flirty when intoxicated? Number 3. Kissing is illegal in Guanajuato, Mexico. We've previously discussed Mexico as the home of over 1,000 pyramids, and home to the world wonders of Chichen Itza and Teotihuacan. Mexico is an archaeological treasure sure to make you feel like you're stepping into the past. Guanajuato is also a prominent attraction with its vibrantly colored haciendas and is the home of the Kissing Alley, where it's rumored that kissing your loved one here will prevent 7 years of bad luck. But don't let anyone catch you doing this, as a law was passed which bans public kissing in Guanajuato. Of course, this law was met with much resistance and was even thought to be a distraction from the waves of terror and violence from drug cartels which plagued the country. But this law is still on the books, so if you and your partner want to share a sweet kiss, either wait till you get to your hotel room or make sure no one is around. Number 2. Wearing swim trunks is illegal in France.
Vive la France.
France needs no introduction when it comes to tourism. As one of the most visited countries in the world, France is often a standard when it comes to travel, from the majesty of the Eiffel Tower to the exquisite cuisine and nightlife. However, if you're a man and you want to go swimming in a public pool, you'll need to get yourself a Speedo because swim shorts are illegal in France. The reason French lawmakers passed this archaic law in 1903 was hygiene. Apparently, they thought that swim shorts would be worn as regular shorts for everyday activities, while most people in their right mind wouldn't dare saunter around in a Speedo except at a pool. So if you're not one with the water undies, you'll have to sit on the side of the pool. Before we unveil our absolute weirdest law, be sure to subscribe and click the bell for more travel tips and videos. Number 1. Running out of gas on a highway is illegal in Germany. Germany is a land full of history and culture and has some of the coolest tourist attractions in all of Europe. The Schloss Neuschwanstein Palace is regarded as one of the greatest royal castles in Europe, a real-life fairy tale palace. For a glimpse into the history of Soviet rule, visit the remnants of the Berlin Wall for a reminder of how we can never repeat the times they represent. For a fantasy town straight out of a fairy tale, head up to the Black Forest for breathtaking hiking, skiing, and even spa treatments at Baden-Baden. However, if traveling by car, keep an eye on your tank because running out of gas on the highway in Germany is a crime. Germany considers people who can drive to be responsible enough to make sure they don't run out of gas, and running out on the highway can land you a hefty fine. Do you know of any other weird laws? Share your thoughts in the comments below.
Think back over your absolute favorite place to swim. Whether it's the perfect tropical beach, a water park you frequented every summer as a kid, snorkeling in a coral reef, or maybe just a good old regular swimming pool. Regardless of your choice, there's always a basic danger to swimming, since we can't breathe underwater like fish. Drowning is a real fear, and no matter where you go, it calls for caution and maybe even a good lifeguard to watch out for you. But basic safety aside, there are some places in the world where you should never swim. Welcome back to FinnaTravel. Today, we're going to teach you about 10 places you should never swim, even if they look perfectly safe to the naked eye. There are dangers in these waters you might not know about. Number 10. Galveston Beach, Texas. The ocean is beautiful, but powerful, and as you know, requires a bit more respect when swimming and surfing than any still body of water. Galveston County beaches in Texas, however, hold an even more unsettling secret. Marked by warning signs, these beaches bear the scars of human neglect, resulting in astonishing levels of pollution. I wish I knew that before taking my family to this beach just last year, where we ended up with tar all over our bodies and clothes, not to mention getting sick a few days later. 4 trillion gallons of wastewater flow into Galveston Bay every year from failing sewer systems, storm runoffs, and industrial complexes, introducing not just unsightly debris, but also dangerous elements like fecal matter.
That's disgusting!
The waters are so contaminated that some people reported respiratory issues, gastrointestinal sickness, ear and eye infections, and rashes on the skin. A recent EPA report even unveiled that 90% of Texas beaches tested positive for unsafe levels of fecal bacteria. This may be the most polluted beach, but there's an even more polluted lake we'll talk about in a minute. While pollution levels may vary from time to time, the question remains, is swimming in Galveston truly worth the potential risks? Number 9. Hanakapiai Beach, Hawaii. Hawaii! This should be great, right? Isn't it everyone's dream to visit Hawaii, soaking in that hot summer sun and swimming at the perfect beaches? Well, not every beach. While there's no great levels of pollution to worry about like in Galveston, Hanakapiai has some serious dangers of its own. This beautiful beach requires a commendable effort to reach, involving a challenging hike. Okay, big deal. I'm sure the panoramic views are worth the trek, right? Well, maybe if you stay on land, because this beach is notorious for its fierce and unforgiving rip currents. Swimming here is very dangerous, even for the best of swimmers. This unfortunate reality serves as a stark reminder of Mother Nature's unyielding power.
Watch out for rip currents!
Upon arrival, a warning sign greets visitors, providing information about the perilous waters and a tally of how many have drowned. The sign is not necessarily an official tally, but it estimates that 80 people have drowned here, with many bodies unable to be recovered. Despite the warnings and obvious prohibition, people want the thrill of danger and continue to swim here. There are no lifeguards, and even if there were, it's so hazardous it could end the lives of any who try to rescue you. Even if you manage to escape the riptide, the nearest safe shore is approximately 6 miles away. Let's face it, there are plenty of other safe beaches in Hawaii that don't require such a long hike to swim in. Enjoy it for its beauty, but swim somewhere else. Number 8. Lake Karachay, Russia. During the Cold War, the Soviets were trying to win the arms race and fast-track their production of nuclear weapons. Their effort to achieve world power was riddled with cutting corners and avoiding safety concerns. What once was a beautiful lake in Chelyabinsk Oblast of Russia became a dumping site of nuclear waste in 1951, when the nearby nuclear facility could no longer use the underground storage vats. This small lake became a dumping ground for radioactive waste from the nearby nuclear waste storage and reprocessing plant, earning it the World Watch Institute's designation as the most polluted spot on the planet. The measured radioactivity level at 4.44 terabecquerels rivals the entire distribution from the Chernobyl disaster, but concentrated in one lake.
It's really bad. Like end of the human race as we know it kind of bad.
The lake is so contaminated that exposure to its waters is fatal to humans in less than an hour. In the 1960s, the lake began to dry up, and in 1968, a combination of drought and strong winds carried radioactive dust, irradiating 500,000 people, akin to the conditions in Hiroshima after the atomic bomb was dropped. To address the ongoing hazard, the lake was filled with 10,000 hollow concrete blocks from 1978 to 1986, aiming to prevent sediment shifts. While the potential for the area to be cleaned remains uncertain, concerns persist that the radiation could eventually contaminate the Tetra River and the Atlantic Ocean. Swimming or even approaching Lake Karachay is virtually impossible, as the only way in is through a Russian checkpoint. Number 7. Great Blue Hole, Belize. Fascinating and freaky. The Great Blue Hole is precisely what its name suggests, a colossal hole over 1,000 feet wide and 410 feet deep in the middle of the ocean. Its unique azure hue contrasts brilliantly with the surrounding crystal clear waters, creating the impression of an otherworldly eye. It's almost as if a dormant creature waits to engulf unsuspecting swimmers. Located in the center of the Lighthouse Reef off the coast of Belize, the Great Blue Hole is one of the top 10 scuba diving sites in the world. Its depth raises curiosity about undiscovered deep-sea inhabitants that may lurk below. Believed to be a limestone cave system that collapsed and filled with water during the Ice Age, the Great Blue Hole is one of the largest underwater sinkholes in the world. For those daring to explore its depths, massive stalactites and stalagmites offer valuable insights into past climates and a variety of marine life, including reef and nurse sharks. While the Great Blue Hole offers a unique diving experience, only experienced divers should venture in. At 300 feet down, the water is dark, anoxic, and devoid of life. In 2018, a 3D scan of the hole was completed, and a submarine discovered the bodies of 2 divers at the bottom, where they remain, buried at sea. Number 6. Bondi Icebergs Pool, Australia. Can't decide if you want to swim in the ocean or in a pool? How about both? The Bondi Iceberg Pool is a popular ocean pool complex located at the southern end of Bondi Beach in Sydney, Australia. Apparently, it's a whole thing down here. There's even a club with about 1,000 members that you can join that was started back in 1929 to get people swimming more during the winter months. While I get the novelty and agree that it's beautifully constructed, it's one of the most flawed and impractical aquatic facilities. The swimming pool is literally built on the ocean, subjecting it to regular waves splashing over the sides. Now, that might seem fun, but at high tide and rough seas, dangerous waves may come crashing over, and with it, other assortment of dangers. There have been reports of sharks swimming just beyond the pool. Imagine a shark, stingray, or box jellyfish joining you for a swim after being swept into your pool on an unsuspecting wave. We all know confined and frightened animals can pose unexpected dangers. While that scenario may be rare, it's often flooded with seaweed which shuts down the pool and requires cleaning. So, while the Bondi Pool may enjoy worldwide fame, spending a leisurely afternoon there might not be the most relaxing or idyllic choice. Number 5. Queensland, Australia. Australia presents a landscape fraught with potential dangers, ranging from agile jumping spiders and venomous snakes to to the robust kangaroo capable of delivering life-threatening kicks. But don't think you'll be any safer in the surrounding ocean. The dangers extend into coastal waters with the presence of bull sharks, hammerheads, great whites, and saltwater crocodiles. Although attacks from these are quite rare and sighting them ahead of time can help, the true threat lies hidden and packs a deadly sting. Standing out among these threats is the box jellyfish. It's prevalent off the coast of Queensland and more dangerous and lethal than you can imagine. Despite their modest size, measuring approximately 5.5 inches in both diameter and height, these jellyfish feature 7 to 9 tentacles adorned with finger-like extensions, growing up to an impressive 13 feet, but are very hard to see. These tentacles capture small fish and repel predators with a potent sting, but cause red, whip-shaped lesions on the skin, blistering and burning the site with intense, severe pain. The venom is formidable enough to fatally injure an adult human in less than 5 minutes. They are considered one of the most deadly creatures in the world, with a toxic venom that can cause cardiovascular collapse and respiratory failure. The mortality rate of box jellyfish stings can be up to 40%, depending on the severity of the sting or stings and your access to immediate medical treatment.
Nope, 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 nope.
Number 4. Kipu Falls. Another dangerous place to swim in Hawaii? Who knew?
Stop saying Hawaii in there.
The Kipu Falls are located on the southeastern part of the island of Kauai and require landowner permission to access. Without it, swimming here could lead to trespassing charges, which honestly could be the least of your worries. A short walk down a dirt path leads to a 20-foot waterfall flowing into a beautiful pool. But this allure comes at a high cost, as Kipu Falls has been a site of numerous injuries and unexplained deaths. Some incidents involve jump-related injuries, but even seemingly routine swimmers have mysteriously vanished, only to be recovered from the pool's depths later on. Beneath the pool are strong currents, slippery rocks, and hidden underwater hazards that make it a particularly dangerous place to swim. 5 trespassers drowned in as many years, prompting the Kauai Visitors Bureau to launch a campaign to push guidebook publishers to omit any references to Kipu Falls. In recent years, the Grove Farms company, which owns the property, has made efforts to keep people out by blocking all access to the deadly falls. Number 3. Boiling Lake, Dominica. Okay, so Kipu Falls is closed, but a secluded hot spring sounds nice, right? Well, yes, but just how hot? Nestled deep within the natural thickets of Dominica is a remarkable site known as Boiling Lake. It's the second largest hot lake in the world, approximately 200 feet across, in the Morne-Trapiton National Park. This hidden gem features water perpetually shrouded in intense steam. The name says it all. The lake is filled with boiling water of 196 degrees Fahrenheit at its altitude of 2,600 feet. Would you set a pot to boil and then take a dive in?
Yeah, I didn't think so.
Taking a dip in this natural wonder would lead to severe burns or worse, being boiled alive. Fortunately, the billowing steam serves as a deterrent, ensuring that even the most daring visitors need not approach too closely to feel the intense heat. The boiling water of this natural lake is due to an unexceptionally rare phenomenon. The heated basin connects directly to the Earth's molten subsurface, with vents releasing scalding steam and gases into the water, causing it to instantaneously reach a boil. It's definitely a body of water to stay far away from, as even approaching the lake can be hazardous due to the intense heat and steam burns. Number 2. Cable Beach, Australia. Alright, come on down the mountain and back to the oceans of Australia. Cable Beach, spanning just under 14 miles, holds the dubious title of being the most perilous beach in the country. Despite its public accessibility and breathtaking beauty, just laying on the beach here comes with inherent risks. Well, if it's not pollution or boiling water, what makes Cable Beach so hazardous? Well, during the wet season from November to May, hungry saltwater crocodiles have been known to venture onto Cable Beach. Good luck relaxing while trying to sunbathe here.
You okay there, Mr. Crocodile?
While there are relatively safe areas, complete with restaurants and hotels along the coast, just stick near the crowds of people, as crocodiles tend to avoid them. If you're thinking of going off to a remote area of Cable Beach, think again, as your chances for encountering a deadly crocodile and subjecting yourself to the peril of their powerful jaws increases the farther you roam out. Before we get to number 1, I just wanted to say thanks for watching, and if you enjoyed this video, be sure to share it with a friend.
And now, back to the countdown.
Number 1. The Red Triangle, California. Living in California can be quite appealing, but strictly in relation to weather, as the political and economic scene is driving out people from California for the first time in its history since 1850. Congratulations, Governor Newsom, you must be doing something right. Anyway, the state's extensive coastline offers an abundance of beautiful beaches to explore, although caution is advised when it comes to the infamous Red Triangle. Stretching approximately 50 miles from Bodega Bay to San Francisco, this triangular coastal area is visually striking. Despite its allure, the Red Triangle has gained notoriety as a hotspot for great white shark attacks, accounting for over 1/3 of such incidents. The sharks tend to concentrate in more populated regions, driven by the presence of seals, sea lions, and otters, irresistible prey to these great white beasts. While great whites don't specifically target humans, their difficulty distinguishing us from their regular prey can lead to potential dangerous encounters. If you're a thrill seeker, you just might attempt swimming at some of these locations, but don't say we didn't warn you. Just please no dying, okay? The world is a better place with you in it. If you enjoyed today's video, check out this other randomly selected one and let me know in the comments which of the two videos you liked better.